students, today we will be seeing the third and the last presentation in our series on Walter Gropius and the Bauhaus. Now why do I say that these are the four great masters? Frank Lloyd Wright, Le Corbusier, Walter Gropius and Mies van der Rohe, because of their immense contribution to modern architecture. If you pick each one of them, they brought about a fundamental shift in our understanding of modern architecture. Frank Lloyd Wright, the oldest of these four, gave us an understanding of open flowing interiors and a kind of a fluid connection between the inside and the outside. The tremendous need to connect the inside with the outside, his whole philosophy of organic architecture was then carried forward by the younger European architects and into modernism, where free flowing interiors became the standard norm and one of the foundational principles of modernism or concepts of modernism. When we look at Le Corbusier, he gave us the domino system, the RCC framed construction that provided us with again free flowing interiors without non-load bearing walls which could be shaped in any form, in facades which could be punctured, spaces that could be very large spaces, column free spaces also possible, and that kind of construction that carried over all over the world, and Le Corbusier had a global impact. Today a lot of RCC construction that took place in a very large quantity in the third world, in Africa, in South Asia, etc., have been very powerful, impactful role of Corbusier in that. And also his second phase in relation to brutalism. If you look at Mies van der Rohe, his contribution to the glass in steel construction in the modern times, the tall corporate modern building or even an apartment building today, owes its allegiance to the work of Mies van der Rohe. Whether it was the Lakeshore Drive apartments followed by the Seagram building, it set the standard, it set the basic fundamental idea of what the modern tall glass and steel building should be like. Of course, the glass and steel building has evolved tremendously from then, and today we find lot of varying forms, etc. But at the very foundation we find the contribution of Mies van der Rohe, and the other is his contribution large span glass and steel buildings, exhibitions, museums, art galleries, etc. all over the world. His work is fundamental, whether it is Crown Hall in IIT Illinois, whether it is a new National Gallery in Berlin. Then we come to Walter Gropius. His idea of functionalism, of putting a building together in which different functions are there, then are integrated, connected together to work together, as I discussed with you last time. And the contribution which I would say is even greater than architecture is Gropius's contribution to architectural pedagogy or architectural education by merging art, industrial design and architecture into one, making it an interdisciplinary learning process. So thus Bauhaus is not only an architectural set piece for us to learn architecture, but Bauhaus is also an institution that gave us modern architectural education. That format of modern education in architecture spread globally and all over the world today. For example, studio teaching that we have today in architectural schools, it was given to us by Bauhaus. Bauhaus brought the concept of workshop learning along with theoretical subjects. So this integration of art and craft, architecture and industrial design happened under Bauhaus for the teaching of architecture, and the man responsible, Walter Gropius. These four people have been fundamental in bringing about change in our modern times. There have been other architects that followed them that have made fantastic buildings, amazing architecture, but if you go to the very roots, you find that these four founding members are there who laid the first foundation, nave rakhi unhone, on which we can build our modernist architecture. This was the building we had seen last time, the Bauhaus, the most important school of architecture, design and art in the 20th century. And then I had explained to you the Pioneer Sanatorium, the Sainsbury Visual Center of Design and Arts, we had also looked at the Louis Vuitton Foundation by Frank Gehry, and I had said that all these three are also based on Bauhaus functionalism. Spaces are having different functions, they are connected together to work together. It can be linear like in the case of SPDA, it can be separated in different sections just as done in Bauhaus as in the case of Miami Sanatorium. It can be both in the vertical and horizontal division of functional spaces as in the Louis Vuitton Foundation, and then the same principle of functional division and then integrated to work together we find in Kansai International Airport in Japan by Renzo Piano, or we find it in the Seattle Central Library in the USA by Rem Koolhaas in 2004. So Bauhaus functionalism went on and became the basic design concept or philosophy behind many other modern buildings all the way into the 21st century. Now there are four important houses that we need to study to understand the impact of these four great masters. You can pick these four, and these four are Falling Water by Frank Lloyd Wright around 1936, Villa Savoy 1928 by Le Corbusier, 1950s Farnsworth House by Mies van der Rohe, and 1938 Gropius House by Walter Gropius in the USA. Three of these houses, the Falling Water, Farnsworth House and Gropius House, are in the US, Villa Savoy is in France. And these four are fundamental to the understanding of each of their architecture. You want to study the architecture, the organic architecture, Frank Lloyd Wright, about free-flowing spaces in the interiors, Falling Water is the answer. Farnsworth is the answer to understand the design philosophy of Mies, Villa Savoy to the domino system and 5 points of a new architecture of Corbusier, and Gropius House is to understand the design philosophy of functionalism and practicality in the Gropius House by Walter Gropius. Of all these four houses, if you would ask me which house is the most functionally livable, I would say the Gropius House. Farnsworth House is a weekend house, Falling Water is also a weekend house, Villa Savoy is a house, maybe not a weekend house, but if take which one is the most functionally livable, I would take the Gropius House. And it is because this Gropius House, like the Bauhaus building, is not only a house, but it's actually a learning piece of architecture, a piece of architecture from which we learn, or I should say a teaching piece of architecture. It teaches us about house designing in the modern time. Those other houses also do that, but this seems as if it is a very lab of teaching how we should design houses in the modern times. Each and every principle used here points towards what a common man, a common person in society can design a house on this basis, and many of these principles became the principles of modern house design. This house is modest in scale but revolutionary in impact because it led to fundamental changes in the concept of residential designing. It combines both traditional elements, wood, brick and stone, along with innovative materials that have normally not been used in domestic settings like glass blocks, acoustical plaster, chrome banisters and latest technology in fixtures. Normally this was used in corporate buildings or industrial buildings, but not in houses. Then the evidence of the international style is here in this house with its white planar geometry, free-flowing interiors and absence of ornamentation. On the ground floor plan here, you find it's got a rectilinear planning, and like Bauhaus, it has clear zoning, which ought to be there in a house. There are different activities which define the different spaces of the house or zones of the house. I would rather use the word zones here because for a large part, this space, if you look at it carefully, is actually one single space. This wall that you see here, which is slightly curving, is actually a partition wall made of glass bricks, and this wall can easily be removed, and therefore this space is actually one space. Just for some division, this curved glass brick wall has been provided. So you have the living room, you have the dining room, and you have a study here. You walk in, this is the main entry area, and you walk into this kind of a lobby, an alcove, and from here you can move in via the study to the living area, or you can go up to your private areas where the bedrooms are. There is also a study behind the staircase here on this side, and there is a kitchen and a pantry on this side. Now the other, so ground floor has living, dining, kitchen and study. When we go to the second floor, or the first floor, here we find on the upper floor there are bedrooms and terraces. This is the terrace that we find here, and these are the bedrooms, this one and this one. Very interestingly, these bedrooms are all facing south, and Gropius takes maximum advantage of pulling in light through ribbon windows into the house. I said ribbon windows. Ribbon windows was an original idea of Le Corbusier. In fact, it was one of the 5 points of a new architecture, where one of the points was ribbon windows, and Gropius uses ribbon windows. So in fact, all these modernist international style architects were being impacted or influenced by one another also. It could also be that they are parallelly thinking the same idea, but what I generally feel is that in the whole group there was so much integration, so much amalgamation, that many of the ideas they got interchanged. So white planar geometry became the role for the concept for everybody, free flowing interiors for everybody, extensive use of glass became the rule for everybody, but here you find the ribbon windows also that Corbusier was using. And then this is an open plan concept with flexibility. Service areas have also been very efficiently designed. These are some of the views of the Gropius house. As you can see, the north is towards this side, this is south facing, this is west facing. You have one window here, and all the other windows that you see on this side, this is the south side. So you see extensive windows towards the south side. This towards the north side, he has provided windows, but maximum he has tried to provide windows from the south side, and the windows have been so designed to give maximum view of the forest around them. So this house, as it would be for international style, has flat roof, white facade, ribbon windows, large south facing windows that pull in natural light and aid in passive heating. The use of industrial materials is there in this house, glass, block, steel and chrome, integrating these innovative materials with traditional materials like wood and stone. This is glass brick here, and again this is same glass brick. This is the side of the house. You are looking into the living room and to the terrace above. This is a sculpture placed in the garden of the house, which is called winter pine, and these are the glass bricks. Now when it comes to the north wall, because there is not much heat, not much direct sunlight coming into the building from the north side, he used maximum space of the north wall for bookshelves and storage cabinet, which is what you find here. This is the north, so this window that you find is looking towards the west and also brings in ample sunlight into the building. Large window frames help in framing the landscape and provide an expansive experience of the interior space. There is a tremendous feeling of openness on the inside. Another thing that you find is how practical this house is. It could be your house, it could be my house. It is so practical, the Gropius house, that it could be anybody's house. When you look at the Falling Water or you look at the Farnsworth house, you know it belongs to a specific individual. It is meeting a very specific requirement. It cannot be my house. But when I look at the Gropius house, I hope you understand when I say that this actually looks like it could be my house also. It's a modern house. It's not very much unique in its presentation. It is your everyday house, could be for anyone. And these ideas which are here thus could be used by anyone. Living room with picture windows that frame the view of the backyard and the forest beyond. So this window that you see is looking towards the west, whereas this window away from that, which is here, is looking towards the south. and pulling in sunlight from the south. The dining table and chairs in the dining area, this is the dining area, it's made in the Bauhaus workshop by Marcel Breuer. They are made of chrome and canvas, and they are paired with a formica dining table. So, very innovative materials have been used. There are these little vents that you see here underneath the windows, below the dining room windows, where Gropius has provided a second heating system just to keep the windows frost free during the winters. When we come to the master bedrooms, we come to another interesting innovative idea. There is a glass wall that separates the dressing area from the main bedroom area. And why? Because a temperature variation is needed in the two. The glass wall not only creates the illusion of a larger space, it separates two heating zones. We are able to sleep in a cooler environment, whereas we change in a slightly warmer one, or we dress in a slightly warmer one. And again and again throughout the house you would find examples of built-in furniture, something that Wright also used in his houses. We talked about it in the Uzonian houses. Now there is a guest bedroom, and again here is something happening which any one of us will do. There is a space, and if it's an additional space, at a different season we use it in a different manner. Guest bedroom, when the guest is not there, Gropius's wife would convert it into a sitting room, and in winter she took advantage of the southern exposure and converted this into a greenhouse also. So here there is flexibility of usage of the space, and this is the bedroom of their daughter Attie, which includes a walnut and birch desk designed by Gropius in the Bauhaus carpentry workshop, paired with the desk and a tubular steel and cane chair designed by Marcel Breuer. So truly an experiment in architecture and product and designing. It's like I told you last time that the Bauhaus idea was to design everything from the simplest appliance to the complete dwelling. So Gropius abided by his own architectural philosophy, that when he designed his house, he designed from the simplest appliances to the complete dwelling. Everything is practical, everything is functional, usable. When we come to the kitchen, for example, it is not showy, but it is radically modern, as any modern kitchen today should be. It has all the modern amenities and appliances. It's small, efficient, with built-in appliances and fixtures, and every element is functional and usable in everyday life. There is nothing flamboyant about it. Anybody can have this kitchen, is the idea behind it. When we come to the ground floor hallway where we enter the house from here, there is a spiral staircase which faces away from the entrance, signifying that the upstairs is a private area. Then there are these glass blocks that have been used, from floor to ceiling windows have been used to transmit natural light into this area, and you can see as now this picture has been taken in natural light. As far as you can see, it has been taken in natural light. And then comes the washrooms themselves, very compact, functional, hygienic, with focus on easy cleaning and daily use. That is the fundamental requirement of any washroom, a modern washroom. It was made with modern materials and fixtures like linoleum and tiles. There was a wall mounted sink with minimum pipe exposure. So this is a modern design of a washroom. There is ample light and ventilation. It's not a pigeonhole kind of design. And like the house in entirety, this has got clarity, cleanliness and usability in daily life. So whether it is the living space, the dining area, the bedroom space, the dressing space, the washroom, the kitchen, all of them have been designed with the same fundamental understanding of functionality, simplicity and clarity, and the use of modern materials. The study accommodates a double desk. This is a study here. As you enter the house, you can enter the living room via this study nook. There is another study, I believe, this side also, but this study accommodates a double desk and fits perfectly under this north window. As you see, this is the north facing down, so this is the north window and acts as a passageway into the living room. It became a showcase of Bauhaus design and philosophy, and later on Isse Gropius, his wife, donated it to the Society for Preservation of New England Antiquities, where the house was built. In 1984 she did that, and it continued the tradition for showing the teaching principles of the Bauhaus movement. The house itself teaches you about the Bauhaus. Emphasis on function, simplicity and modern materials with integration of technology and tradition. Thus it became a prototype for affordable rational living, and the one house of the four that I mentioned that is the most replicable as a house of the modern times. Moving on to his next project, in 1979 there was the Bauhaus Archive Museum in Berlin, Germany, by Gropius, and this was a shed proof profile and a brutalist design, something that he had not done before. This contains the world's largest Bauhaus collection of furniture, ceramics, metalwork, stage, textiles, photography and the work of the Bauhaus students. This is the shed-like roof that you find here, and some of the views. The silhouette that you see here became a very known silhouette within the city where it was located, and you see this amazing form that he has created. These are some more pictures of the building. Thus the Bauhaus Archive Museum of Design in Berlin collected these art pieces and documents and literature which are all related to the Bauhaus school. These are some more examples, like the Barcelona chair is here, the model of the Fager's Schulas factory is here, chairs designed by Marcel Breuer are here. Now the design of the museum itself is a series of rectangular modules which are in a linear arrangement. They are all in a linear arrangement. They are rational and functional, with each space having a clear purpose. The most recognizable feature is the shed roof structures. Over this when we put it in an axonometric, we find this shed-like roof structure which allows penetration of light, from the north side, and this is above the display bay, and it is clearly repeated in plan. This modular rhythm is continuously followed in plan. The entry sequence is the visitor enters from the east side through this gate, proceeds to the ticket area and lobby, and then is able to access the galleries in a processional route, and there is no backtracking. The plan has been so designed to guide the movement in a loop without minimal backtracking, with minimal backtracking. Now it has got this sawtooth profile which maximizes the penetration of north light into the building, and so that you can view the exhibits without any glare. The exhibition galleries are this north under shed roofs where this north light floods in, and like I said, very distinctive silhouette for the city of Berlin. These are some of the exhibits within. Another building for which he was not the chief architect, but he was responsible for the overall massing and orientation of this building, and some design consultations he provided, was for a very tall building, the Pan Am building, now called the MetLife building, basically designed by Emery Roth and Sons along with Gropius and P. Belushi in 1959. It is an example of the international style skyscraper. It's purely commercial in design with large floors and absence of ornamentation. Gropius, the overall massing and orientation, he was responsible for that. He advocated precast cement concrete panels instead of a glass curtain wall, and thus the building has a monolithic textured look. Of course it has glass in it, but that glass is embedded within these cement concrete precast panels. Now Gropius influenced design of the building to reflect that it is a functionally driven design. It has got a clean and geometric form, though the form itself was octagonal, and integration of art, structure and use, or art, structure and function. So if we compare two buildings that came up more or less the same time, both of them tall, one by Mies van der Rohe, the Seagram building 1958, and the Pan Am or the MetLife building in 1963, in which Gropius was involved. If you compare them, then Gropius's building is a corporate monument rooted in functionality. Mies's building is minimalist corporate elegance. Gropius's building is a brutalist modernist hybrid. Mies's building is minimal modernism, or it is a minimalist building. It uses precast cement concrete panels with glass. Seagram uses bronze, stone, steel and a glass curtain wall fully. It has a massive octagonal slab-like form. Seagram has a slender and rectangular tower. It has got very little setback, but Seagram has such a major setback leading to an open public plaza that New York, seeing this, came up with the new zoning resolutions of 1961. The Pan Am building is very bulky and overpowering. The Seagram building is an epitome of what the modern skyscraper should be. It's very elegant and restrained. So definitely score 1 to Seagram, and Pan Am doesn't win. The massing of Pan Am, the overall form of Pan Am, it does not match up with that of Seagram at all. The serenity, the simplicity, the elegance of Seagram, Gropius's limited contribution to Pan Am did not result in a building which could be of the same intense caliber as the Seagram building. Then again there was the J.F. Kennedy Federal Building designed by Gropius, and this building was a twin 26-story high-rise towers connected by a low 4-story high podium. Rather, it was connected to this 4-story high podium. It was not mounted on the podium, it was also on a plaza on the other side, and then connected to this 4-story podium by this bridge that you see here. The tall towers and the low podium building became a modernist form that began to be used extensively in corporate buildings, and the double towers which are shown here increase office light, increase the natural light that is coming into the office, and by segregating them or shifting them, we are able to reduce the overall visual bulk. Otherwise it would have been a very massive building, but this kind of shifting the building provides a decrease in the visual bulk rather than what would have been in a single monolithic building. Now this idea of a tower with a podium happened all over the world. Here is a very interesting shot. This shot has been taken from close to the podium of the Trident Hotel in Mumbai, looking towards two other buildings which have also towers with a podium. One is the Indian Express building here, designed by Stein, and then you have the Air India building here, which was designed by I believe Kevin Roche and John Dinklew, American architects, and this also has a podium. So Trident with a podium, Indian Express with a podium, Air India with a podium. Trident is a 5-star hotel, Indian Express building is a newspaper building, what you would call an office building, and Air India building is also an office building for Air India. So these towers with podiums, and then there were others, is the government building having the same concept in the Vidhan Bhavan at Nariman Point in Mumbai, or in business the stock exchange building having the same podium and a tower behind it. So there are other buildings globally, not just in India, like for example even the Liver House, which I have taught you, has this podium concept with a tower behind it, and in fact we can say that Liver House was the beginner of such a kind of tower with podium design concept, and thus we have a similar thing in the John F. Kennedy Federal Building in Boston, a tower block with podium. Now if you compare contemporary high rises and again compare this with the Seagram building, this building has precast concrete and glass, whereas Seagram has steel and glass. The site footprint, very interesting, it only occupies 45% of a 4.6 acre lot. seems to be a similar idea to C. Graham, which also left much of the plaza empty and took only the end part of the plaza where the tower was erected. But this plaza, it's a little bit different because it not only serves the setting up of the John F. Kennedy Federal Building, but also there is the Boston City Hall, also a part. This is the plaza here, and in one part we have JFK Federal Building, and then you have the Boston City Hall here, designed by Coleman, McKinnell and Knowles in 1968. So, two very important buildings are encasing the plaza or are a part of the plaza. This is how we see it in this shot. This is the Boston City Hall, this is the John F. Kennedy Federal Building, and this is the plaza on which the two buildings have been arranged. The final work in our series on Gropius is one that was done in 1969 called the Thomas-Werke Glass Works by Walter Gropius, along with the Architects Collaborative which he had founded. The industrial glass production facility with administrative offices. It is a modular structural system using steel and precast concrete. And there is clarity of zoning. When we think of zoning, what do we remember? We remember Bauhaus, Functionalism, where there is separation of different activities into different areas which are then connected together to work together, integrate together. And thus here we have production, logistics and administration are all separate, and yet they are connected to work together in a linear planning, optimized for workflow and efficiency. It has got large windows to bring in daylight and ventilation, and thus the important takeaway point from Thomas Glass work is this: it is an expression of modernist aesthetic in an industrial context. How can we design an industrial building in the modern times? We have the modernist aesthetic to do that. Thus, if we look at the significance and legacy of the architect Walter Gropius, Gropius's final built project was Thomas Glass Works 1969. It was a model of modern industrial design, helped elevate the architectural profile of the company Rosenthal AG, integrated form and function, and was a lasting relevance, showed the lasting relevance of Bauhaus principles even in industrial designing. Then we look at the impact of Bauhaus on India, its influence on contemporary Indian architecture, and for this I have borrowed some of my own slides from my presentation Modern Indian Architecture just to give you the connection, and the connection is that Bauhaus contributed in India both in architecture and in education. The education component is very clear to us, that the basis of the basic structure of studio teaching, of workshop and theory being taught together, of the integration of various disciplines for the study of architecture, primarily art, industrial design and architecture, is very much evident in modern architecture education in India even today. Though certain changes are now coming because of contemporary realities, but basic structure continues to be the same, established by Bauhaus. The other side, in architecture, two architects contributed immensely, Habib Rahman and A.P. Kanvinde. Now, in a very wonderful twist of fate or a blessing in disguise, that when Walter Gropius landed in America and started teaching in Harvard Graduate School of Design, at the same time Habib Rahman, A.P. Kanvinde were also in America, and they got to learn under Walter Gropius. One of them was directly learning under Walter Gropius in Harvard, and other was learning under him in MIT, where Gropius used to come and give guest lectures. And thus these two people became firm disciples of the Bauhausian ideology or Bauhausian philosophy of architecture, and thus of Walter Gropius. Here is a picture here showing A.P. Kanvinde with Walter Gropius. This is the aerial view of Bauhaus, and I am comparing this with two buildings which have the same kind of functional zoning and planning. One is the Central Building Research Institute or CBRI in Roorkee. this building, that initially the main building was built here, then there are other built, there is an auditorium on this side, all functions segregated from one another and then all connected together to work together. The other building is what is called as the Khosla International House, again done by AP Kanvinde on the IIT Roorkee campus. Again it is a large hostel with two wings connected by an entrance block in the middle. Again it is functionally zoned and planned. Thus the Bauhaus, international style, modernism, all of them fed the imagination of the Indian architects. It was strongly impacted by the visual clarity and the boldness of the expression in modernism both in America and Europe, and accepted modernism as the approach architecture should follow in India. No other approach was acceptable. The modernists were leaning architects modernist leaning architects in India owe much to the forms of Bauhaus and to the architecture of Le Corbusier, and so you find their works in India. You find, for example, the Ahmedabad Textile Industries Research Association building, or ATIRA, by AP Kanvinde. It is based on Gropius's Bauhaus design philosophy and its application. If you look at the entire massing of the building, it is very similar to the massing of the workshop wing of Bauhaus. The functional areas are separate and yet are linked together to work together. There is a purity of form. Both use newly developed building technologies. In terms of space planning, it is an open plan with zoned activity areas, admin cum lab component, all of it in this rectangular or its cuboidal mass as in this workshop wing of Bauhaus. Now the difference that arises in the two buildings is because of climatic considerations, and nobody can escape the climate of India. The building has to work with the climate, particularly in those days, and therefore for climate protection this building has sunshades on the south side. On the north side there are fenestrations flush with the wall. The glass curtain wall that you find in the Bauhaus building versus a masonry curtain wall with fenestration in the ATIRA building. In terms of structural design, whereas we find RCC used with glass curtain wall in Bauhaus, here we find flexible RCC column and beam grid being used in India in its very early stages. So they learnt this modernist architectural thought, or the development of truly modernist buildings happened in India by the Western architects in the 1930s and the 1940s. Indore Palace, for example, designed by Emethusius, is filled with modernist ideas such as cuboidal and plain white geometry of Bauhaus. In fact, if you look at this view of Bauhaus and this view of the Indore Palace, you see how much even the very form image or massing is similar to that of Bauhaus itself, except that Indian climate does play a major role. You have to provide sun shading devices. Then there are the National Botanical Research Institute by Kanvinde, Lucknow, Toxology Research Center Lucknow by Kanvinde, CBRN Roorkee by Kanvinde, and the Physical Research Laboratory PRL in Ahmedabad, again by AP Kanvinde. All these four buildings are a reflection of the Bauhaus ideology. Thus, Gropius was the founder of Bauhaus, revolutionized 20th century design by uniting art, craft and technology. He was an architect of modernism, the advanced, rational, functional approach towards architecture with clean lines, clarity of form, honesty of materials. He was a global educator and reformer who transformed design education in the Harvard Graduate School of Design and mentored a generation of architects like Marcel Breuer, I.M. Pye, etc. He was a visionary thinker who believed in architecture as a social force, he believing that buildings serve people and they are expressions of democratic values. His built works were across scales, from factories to homes, government buildings to campuses. Gropius applied the same discipline, clarity in all these buildings. He had timeless principles in his work. His ideas of functionality, of integration, of human-centered design particularly continues to shape contemporary architecture even till today. That is why Walter Gropius stands in the pantheon of those four great masters of modern architecture. Thank you.